Okay.
Councilmember Schroeder. Councilmember Fisickelli.
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz.
Here.
Mayor McKay.
Here. If I could get a motion to excuse D from somebody real quick.
Make a motion to excuse Councilmember D. Schroeder.
Second.
Okay.
Just for the purpose of the record, she's at a wedding, a family commitment in Clemson.
All right, so can you call that real quick? We'll do the pledge right after that.
Councilmember Fisickelli.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes. If we could stand for the pledge, please. And Gay, would you do us the honor of leading the pledge?
Stop picking on me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, just take that one out.
All right, thank you.
Replace it.
All right, so we have Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Carlene Chung is here to do a presentation or come tell us about
Give
it.
you that earlier. You got to be prepared.
Proclamation for you also. Okay, go right ahead.
Sure.
Mike's all yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Carlene Chung. I am the Grant Specialist for Women in Distress. Just a quick overview of what we're doing this month. We are recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And at Women in Distress, we serve women, men, and children who are victims of domestic violence. We provide them emergency shelter, counseling, therapy, children's services, transitional assistance, as well as legal assistance, all free of cost at either our Deerfield Beach location or throughout Broward County at undisclosed satellite locations. Luckily for the town of Southwest Ranches, in the past year, we have not had to provide certain services to your residents, but within the past 2 to 3 years, we've provided at least 2 residents with about 50 nights of emergency shelter. For Women in Distress, our mission is to stop domestic violence abuse for everybody through advocacy, therapy, and education. And 1 out of 3 women, and as well as 1 out of 4 men, are normally victims of domestic violence through an intimate partner. So what we are doing is we are going to different cities and towns, just saying thank you for your support, continued support over the years. It's been 43 years that Women in Distress has been in existence, and that if you are interested in joining us for the rest of the month for any other additional activities, you all are more than welcome to do so. A couple of things that we have coming up in the works that will be exciting for us to provide to our survivors are our legal program, which is it's brand new for the past year and a half now. We have new attorneys that are on the campus. You can get free legal advice. We do financial stability classes. We do job readiness classes so that they are prepared to move out of the shelter and be prepared for self-sufficiency and independence and living on their own, as well as the next thing that will be coming up in the next year will be an on-site pet shelter. So for many of you who do not know, a lot of survivors consider their pets like their children. So they will not leave their homes sometimes because they don't want to leave their pet, because the abuser will sometimes use violence against the pets to keep them there. So when they're ready to leave the house, sometimes they don't want to leave because we don't have somewhere for them to house their pets. So now we're going to build a shelter for our pets so that they are able to come to a safe location, bring their family, which includes children and pets, and have somewhere to go. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for her? Okay, we've got a proclamation. Would you read that for me, Russell?
This is a proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month for October 2017. Whereas the residents of Southwest Ranches are this town's most precious resource, and ensuring their safety, well-being, and positive development is a priority and a responsibility that we all share. And whereas 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have been victims of physical violence by an intimate partner within their lifetime. And whereas the exposure of young children to such violence is occurring at an alarming rate. And whereas the United States Advisory Board on Child Abuse and Neglect suggests that domestic violence may be the single major precursor to child abuse and fatalities in this country. And whereas Women in Distress of Broward County, Inc. is the only nationally accredited, state-certified, full-service domestic violence center serving Broward County through a 24-hour crisis intervention hotline and emergency shelter, as well as offering counseling and support for victims and their children. And whereas by providing individuals with education about healthy relationships and by changing attitudes that support violence, we work to stop domestic violence for Southwest Ranches residents. Now, therefore, the mayor and town council do hereby proclaim the month of October 2017 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the town of Southwest Ranches and urge all residents to respond to and work towards ending domestic violence by supporting their community's efforts to empower and assist victims in finding and accessing the resources they need and by promoting awareness and prevention of domestic violence in our community. Dated this 12th day of October 2017.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Let's, can we go down and get a
Take a picture?
picture? Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Let's do.
Come on.
Great.
What's up? You good? Good thing your mic is dead.
Bring that one up public. You can say that during public comment. Oh, he's very.
Mayor, I believe we'll need a motion to approve that proclamation.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Call the question, please.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
And Mayor McKay?
Yes. Okay. Proclamation for Broward Reed City. So we're going to, if you'd come on up and
Thank you.
see what,
Just want to read the proclamation.
explain, and then you want to read the proclamation first?
Yeah.
Okay, read the proclamation first, please.
Sure. This is a proclamation for Town of Southwest Ranches, Broward City's Literacy Partnership Proposal. Whereas the Broward Reads campaign is a collaborative initiative between community stakeholders, including the School Board of Broward County, and the Children's Services Council of Broward County, the United Way of Broward County, among many other community partners. And whereas the Broward Reads campaign focuses on 4 critical areas, including school readiness, chronic absenteeism, family engagement, and preventing the summer learning loss to ensure Broward children are reading at grade level. And whereas the Broward Reads campaign is partnering with cities within the county to demonstrate a collaborative approach to making grade level reading a priority within their community throughout all of Broward County. And whereas the Broward Reed City identifies key community stakeholders that can work together to make significant improvements in early literacy. And whereas a Broward Reed City commits leading public officials to support the Broward Reads campaign. And whereas the Broward Reed City commits to designating a city liaison to attending the Broward Reads campaign for grade level readings bi-monthly meetings. And whereas we understand that ensuring children are able to read at grade level is the moral responsibility of everyone in the community. Now therefore, the mayor and town council do hereby proclaim that the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, is a Broward Reed City committed to ensuring grade level literacy for all of its children. Dated this 12th day of October 2017.
Thank you, Mayor. This was requested by the School Education Advisory Board. Unfortunately, none of the members were able to be here this evening, but Yvette Solara is the staff liaison to that board, and I know she'll take that proclamation and bring it back and share it with the rest of the board.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Call the question, please.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Awesome, darling.
Greatly appreciated.
They've done it before.
Okay. All right, presentation for community wildlife habitat and environmental sustainability. Rose Buttman, is that correct? You got it. Awesome. Well, come on up and tell us a little bit about it. I just registered today, let me tell everybody, so
Yeah.
we need, we're looking for 20. I made it so we have 19, so I'd like to get this zipped up in the next 30 days with it, more than 19. So if we could do that. So, back to you. Thank you.
Do I have an advance, or are you going to advance for me? I'll just let you know then. Okay.
You can take it out of there if you want.
Maybe not. Okay, we'll
Just-
we'll just leave it there. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to come tonight to speak with you. I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on the Naturescape program, which is part of environmental planning and community resilience in Broward County. Can we have the PowerPoint? Okay. We've gotten a lot of support from Southwest Ranches. It's always a pleasure to come out this way. My husband makes fun of me when we go out to Weston to visit the granddaughters. We live in Plantation, and he says, well, why don't you get on 595 to go over to 75? I said, no, I got to take the scenic route through Southwest Ranches up Griffin Road. So Southwest Ranches has been a strong supporter of Naturescape over the years. You can go ahead and advance. The land use changes here in the county, we've all become familiar with. You can see the slide on the left is the Everglades, which is right at your back door, a precious resource to us, and how the county has been built up over the years, and how the demand in the population puts a strain on those water supplies, on our environment, and our wildlife. Go ahead. So what is a naturescape? For those of you that don't know, it's very easy. They're Florida-friendly landscapes. We want to conserve water so that we have water for our future generations, and we want to make sure that that water that they have is going to be clean and usable. So we want to reduce the pollution that goes into that water, and we also want to create habitat for our local wildlife and for our migratory birds. The Southwest Ranches did win an Emerald Award, which was recognized by Broward County in 2012 for your equestrian park. The Emerald Awards are awarded once a year at Water Matters Day for exceptional projects, and we felt that this one was exceptional, and you did receive an award for that one. Here in Florida, we are on a major Atlantic flyway for migratory birds and butterflies. This will show you along the East Coast that important corridor. Right now, we have all the migratory birds coming to us. The hurricane has disturbed an awful lot of their habitat as well as ours. So we have birds that may be coming actually from the Central Flyway on their way over towards Mississippi and come into that Atlantic flyway and come down. So we actually have hummingbirds that come from Colorado all the way to Florida, and they don't just stay here. Once they get to Florida, they go out over the Gulf to Mexico or into the Caribbean. So if you've taken any long flights to California or the Midwest, I'm sure once you get there, you're pretty tired, and you haven't been flapping the whole way. So we have these birds that have flapped all their way down here, and now they have to get from Florida across all that water for the end of their journey. So Florida is an important stopover place for them to get something to drink, for them to have shelter, for them to juice up on some nectar plants for the rest of their journey. We want to try and keep the common birds common. Unfortunately, over 1/3 of our common land bird species have declined by more than 15% since 1970. That's 46 species losing half or more of their populations. It's a net loss of 1.5 billion breeding birds. A lot of that is due to habitat loss. This is the green infrastructure GIS mapping for Broward County that shows our urban forest. Don't get too excited by the darker green. It doesn't show up well. That's the 20 to 39%, not the 40% or higher. But luckily, we do have Southwest Ranches is in that higher percentile, very green community between 20 and 39% tree canopy before the last hurricane that we have. We just got funding next year. We will be updating that urban canopy mapping and trying to see how we've increased that urban canopy over the years. But those lighter areas, you can see those areas that are lighter have 0 to 19% tree canopy. So when these birds are coming down on their migratory path and they're looking down, they're going, oh, there used to be a wetland here, or there used to be some trees here where I could rest and some plants to feed on. Instead, they look down, they see CVS, they see Walgreens, they see all of that pavement. So if we could progress, what we want to do is connect these movement corridors for them. So if the mayor has registered his home as a backyard wildlife habitat, and each of the commissioners registered their homes, then we are connecting those habitats for these birds. So they'll be able to go to one spot and have a movement corridor to the next. So we give them little resting spots. The goal is to have one every quarter mile throughout Broward County. So why would we want to do this? Well, obviously, we have a loss of our plant species every time we do a development. It's usually clear cut before you go to put stuff in. So we have our loss of wildlife. We had a degradation of our natural resources, soil erosion, and of course, that most importantly, that loss and fragmentation of habitat for wildlife. There's only 4 components that you need to have: food, water, cover, and places to raise young. Even if you're in a condo and you only do a containerized butterfly garden and you have a little puddling station, a little saucer with water and sand in it, you would have all 4 components. So you don't have to have a big yard, but luckily out here in Southwest Ranches, you have a lot of those. So in Naturescapes, we can include designing for butterflies and for birds. Here is just one instance where if you have just one shrub in your yard, the native firebush, you will be providing nectar for butterflies, you'll be providing nectar for hummingbirds, and when they produce seeds, you'll be providing the seeds for the migratory birds. The corky stem passion vine, if you only have that one vine, even as a ground cover, you would be able to support 3 different local species of butterfly that use it for their caterpillar larvae and lay their eggs only on that plant. So the Community Wildlife Program is part of the National Wildlife Federation. The National Wildlife Federation is a nonprofit and is one of the oldest conservation groups in the country. It was founded by Roosevelt and Ding Darling many, many moons ago. So it is a very grassroots organization. Broward County was the first county in the United States that to be certified as a community wildlife habitat. In Broward County right now, we have over 4,000 people that have certified their yards, businesses, or places of worship. We have 12 cities that have become certified, and we have 8 registered. And Southwest Ranches is really close to that light at the end of the tunnel on becoming certified. And I'm really looking forward to having a celebration here when we reach that mark. So these are the cities in Broward County that are involved with the program. If they are in a darker color and bold, they have already reached their certification, but you can see you're in very good company. This is the town of Southwest Ranches map. You all have one of these in your packets, so it will show you exactly where those dots are on the map. This one is from January, so it doesn't show some of your recent dots on there. You can be NWF certified or Florida Yards and Neighborhood certified. Either one of those would make you recognized as a naturescape. So your population when you registered was 7,344. That meant you needed 150 certification points towards your certification. As of September, you had 118, so I thought you only needed 32 more, but I guess you only need 19 more at this point, so that's wonderful. You get a point for each home. If you do a school, I understand you don't have public schools, but it can be a daycare, any little church group that has a school in it. When they register the schools, it is free. So this year, there's a moratorium on the registration fee, so if any of you know of any of those little preschools or places of worship, those are free points, and those are 5 points for those. You have your businesses, your places of worship, the farms get 3 points, and your municipal buildings and parks. So also as part of that strategic point system, in addition to getting your certifications for your yards and businesses, there's also outreach. But Southwest Ranches has always been very active in community outreach. You do have a lot of programs already, so you get a lot of points very easily with that. So the benefits obviously are to increase that wildlife habitat, the stopovers, and also to engage your residents and your children. A lot of children nowadays are very disoriented when it comes to their environment, that they're not really outside a lot. They're stuck with the video games and the TVs and all of that. We want to reconnect them. I may be aging myself a little bit here, but when I was a kid, my mother would say to me, Rosemary, go outside and play and get some fresh air in your lungs, and when the street lights come on, come home, dinner will be ready. And we were outside all day long on our own. Now I'm lucky if I can get my granddaughters between t-ball and soccer and everything else that they're involved with, but they do butterfly gardening and they love it. And once the kids get involved with it, they really do enjoy it. Southwest Ranches has been an incredible supporter of Water Matters Day. You have the most beautiful booth every year. And December is just a dynamo, and you're very lucky to have her. She's just incredible. She does a beautiful display each and every year. You can see people resting by some of her displays. And there she is taking a break herself, a very well-deserved break. So in summary, you want to attract wildlife by providing food, water, cover, and places to raise young. We want to utilize native plants. You have in your packets, we partnered with the Native Plant Society of Southeast Florida, so there's a nice brochure in there about certain native plants if you want to give your hand at them. We also give them away at Water Matters Day. The county is also in the process of redoing our brochure, Gone with the Windstorm. So we will have that coming out in a couple of weeks, which will give you some advice for your residents on species that may be more storm-worthy for replacement planting. So it's easy to go ahead and sign up. Each one of you has an application form in your packet. So if you haven't registered, it's right there. You can do it by snail mail, or you can go right online to nwf.org certify, and it just takes a few minutes. They've updated the website so it's smartphone friendly. As far as Water Matters Day, also in your packet, water is an important thing. Broward County is having a Broward Leadership Conference, and in the back of your packet, some little information on that with the schedule. The first of those meetings is tomorrow at Government Center East. If any of you want to attend, you can. It will be I believe, 5-day series over several months, so you can all participate, or you could send one representative or somebody else who's a decision maker in the town to it. You don't have to commit to all of them. You can pick and choose, so I hope you'll consider doing that as well. And I thank you so much for your time.
Great.
Do we have any questions? Thank you.
I would
Go
just say that, this is perfect for our town. This is what we're all about, and so it's exciting. I know I signed up a couple of years ago, and it's great. I mean, it's just the whole getting the town all involved in that it's part of who we are. So we need to pick up those last 19 and make it happen. So thank you for coming out.
I look forward to coming back in
Good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Gary?
Yeah, I
anything?
just want to make mention, I got a dot.
Yeah.
I got a green dot, but did that years ago. But I just want to make mention that this is a very worthwhile and important thing for all the residents to do. And the water matters is, we can never say enough good stuff about that because Broward County and the town really knocked themselves out, for that. And it's very much appreciated. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Okay, let's see, public comment. Russell, public comment?
Mayor, we got 3 speakers tonight. If there are any more cards, need to turn them in now. Seeing none, we have 3 speakers tonight: John Eastman, David Kaczynski, and last speaker is Newell Hollingsworth. John?
Hi, John Eastman, 188th Avenue. 3 topics tonight. Number 1, I don't know, I assume the whole council's heard about the DOT's plans for the I-75 interchange. I think we need to go to full battle alert on this, and the opening salvo should be a resolution from the council. And I hope you can get one out at the next meeting. That'll send them a clear message that we're not going to tolerate this. They have $13.2 million to spend, and they're going to help us, just like they did last time. So every single red light is an endless expense on the taxpayers. Every single red light is an endless time stealer of your life. And it's already 5 minutes to get across. They put these red lights in, and it's going to take 10 to 15 minutes to get through dikes and all the way across. Now, we can make them be constructive with the money and actually benefit us with the changes that we actually need. And the main proposal that I would push, and I'm going to push, is a dual exit lane southbound to west. We'll have one of those lanes will be dedicated for Weston to turn north on the bridge. We need to get DOT to team up with the MPO and come up with the money to widen that bridge so that they can put that constant flow lane in, so that the folks going off I-75 up into Weston would never have to wait or stop at a light. It would just continuously flow seamlessly up into where they want to go. The other lane would be for westbound Griffin and folks turning south onto dikes. And I think that would be a huge improvement, and they can eliminate the ramp and stop that they put in the last time. Take that dirt, put it over there, reestablish the exit ramp that was there. We asked them not to remove the fill, but they did anyway. So they're talking about other lane improvements and changes. I think the mayor had a great idea. Just put a clover leaf back in, and we don't need any red lights. It's a rural exit. The traffic doesn't warrant it, and they just have this abundance of cash they need to spend. But I think that we need to nip it in the bud now, because if we ignore them, they go to the the full scale with their plans and design, and then once that's in stone, forget it. We're stuck with it. So I think we've already let them know. I sent them an email. I know the mayor has talked to them, but I would like to see a resolution from the council on that. We can't sit by and just let it continue on, because it will. Next thing is FAA Part 150 study. I believe they've been in touch with Andy about using the room here. It'll be, I think, the first Monday of November. They want public input, and primarily my focus is to get these flight paths adjusted so that they are not coming over Southwest Ranches at 2,000 feet in the middle of the night, waking us up. So we want a constant rate descent where it's power off, you're just coming down the glide slope. The jets are very silent when they do that. That's what we're going to push for. And that's just making some minor adjustments to the way TracCon handles the traffic. You just put a few restrictions on them, and I think we'd all win from that. The next item is trash dumping bulk. Fortunately, we didn't get much of a hurricane. We didn't get a hurricane. Just a lot of old growth trees got got knocked down. I'm not sure about the east side of town because after the storm, I didn't go over there. But on the west side of town, we took care of business pretty quick. Everybody had their bobcats and machinery out. We cleared the roads before the storm had even finished. You know, the roads were open. We never had any areas that were stuck. There were about 12 hardcore volunteers that came out and did that. I'll have a list that I'm going to forward to the mayor. Sorry didn't get it to you, but anyway, that went pretty smooth. The bulk part is not going so well. I think on certain streets, they had some very good contractors. 188th got a very bad contractor, and the type of equipment he was using, he was not picking things up, and we ended up with a huge mess and all of our swales completely decimated and ripped out. So, you know, maybe in the future, next time, we can be a little more specific about what you're allowed to use. There's been a tremendous amount of outsiders bringing bulk waste in and dumping it on our swales. Down around 185th Way at Sheridan Street, grass cutters and nursery people are using those vacant lots down there as a dump. And, you know, FEMA has to pay for that. We have to pay for it. So we did catch one of them. There's some video. Robert has it. I hope that the police will prosecute and make an example of them. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Who's next, Keith?
David.
David.
Final speaker, Newell.
Good evening, Council. David Kaczynski, 6411 Hullity Trail. Speak to you this morning, or this evening, still sleepy, all right, about the trash pickup from the hurricane debris pickup. One of my neighbors at 13930 Luray Road stopped me and complained to me about whoever was picking up the debris had knocked a lot of it back into his canal ditch, and it's still there. So somebody is not supervising what's going on, and they're just using the crane, and they knocked off a lot of the debris into the canal. It's obstructing the waterways now. Second had to do with when these crews, and this is just for future, if something comes up, if the crews are out there cleaning up the messes. There are cones placed at one end of the street, but not at the opposite end of the street. And cars are driving down the road, and all of a sudden they see an obstruction in the road. And I didn't see any horse trailers with the problem. I was told that one of my neighbors told somebody carrying a horse trailer, don't go down the road. They caught him in time. But I think they need to put signs at each end of the street where they're working saying local traffic only, no through traffic, something to that degree. One of the problems that happened when they were cleaning the lot next to me, somebody was coming down Holity, obviously from the north to the south, and they saw the truck there. They decided not to turn around. They drove through the yard. They drove right through my front yard, spinning the tires. I got 2 ruts because somebody just did not want to turn around. So I ask that the next time we have something with debris removal, it's blocking the streets, have the contractor put a sign at each end of the street. Local traffic only, no through traffic. Thanks.
Newell Hollingsworth, 199th. I think the town residents need some direction as to what the future pickups are going to be, how many more they're going to be, when the tree stumps are going to be picked up. Are they going to be picked up on flatbeds because they're so large? And when the other debris, which is non-vegetative, is going to be picked up, I think those need to be nailed down so that everyone knows. My luck is that today I can now start clearing my property because the tree that was pushed over to the side by the fire department in the middle of the night when they were clearing the roads went up against my gate to the back. And it was so big that no one could move it. We finally got a front end loader in there today to pull it out. But with all the wet, the swale is now a shadow of its former self, which was nothing to say after they picked up the loads, with the grabbers. But it looks even worse now after having moved that log out. So I can now start clearing my back, except for one thing. Lake Hollingsworth is still there and continues to be there, and I can't get any equipment in. So my question is, after FEMA's over, I know I'm going to be putting out stumps. Are we going to have them trimmed nicely 6 foot? Or can we put the stump out and they will come and pick it up? Because they're going to be a continuous thing for a year after this by us good people that don't have the money to spend $40,000 right now, much less get the equipment in because it's too wet. So what is the process in the future? The other thing was filling the holes for the trees. And I asked the administration, are we going to do the permit like we did the last time for Wilma? The answer was no, just bring the dirt in. Well, for me, who is responsible, I will bring in only enough to fill the hole. But I see this as a loose cannon rolling across the deck where we're going to have some very serious problems with just bring the dirt in. No permit necessary. So that's something that needs to be taken a look at seriously. Thank you.
Okey-doke. All right. Any board reports?
Yeah, the Parks Board, we don't have, we're cleaning up in the parks, but the gazebo is being installed now. I went by today and I saw it on Flamingo and Griffin, the Polikoff Pavilion, and I would imagine they'll be through probably in a week, let's hope. It looks fairly nice. The other thing is that the Historical Society, and I want to thank all of the volunteers that came in and got everything transferred over onto the laser. We're going to review it, and then we're going to make slideshows. It goes all the way back to the beginning of time almost. And some of it's on video, some of it's photographs. We're going to separate that from what was transferred that's all printed material, articles and stuff like that. We're still going to keep that on there, but it'll be separate so that we can show the pictures. We're also waiting to get, how close are we?
Website developer responded back today. They were working on the framework of it. I should have a mock-up probably, hopefully tomorrow.
Oh, awesome. Okay, this is, the Historical Society is opening up a kind of directory for all the people that have not businesses in the town, but that are in business and live in town. So they'll be able to, for $100, they can go on it. You can go on the town website, and it'll be there, and they can hit it. People have been begging for it to know who's the air conditioner guy in town, who cleans up messes or whatever. So we're trying to get everybody on there that would like to, and it's $100 for a year. And if they have a website, it's $50 more, and you'll go to their website, their individual website, if you wish. We're also going to use that as we go along to do articles and kind of introduce people to their neighbors, and past, present, and future. So we're going to try and use it as much as we can. Hopefully, when we're up and running, we'll be a real service to the community. And one thing I would like to do is get all the stables that are in our town, because people want to know who teaches this, who teaches that. So spread the word, and they can either call me or call here at Town Hall. I'm sure they'll be thrilled with that. And they'll refer them to me. And then we'll register them and they can be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. Any other board reports? Seeing no additional board reports, council member comments. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Steve, go ahead.
Just a couple of, I think, quick things. One is the I-75, the interchange there. I would definitely support having a resolution out there opposing that.
Agreed.
You know, one of our primary duties on this council is life safety issues. And frankly, we have had more accidents, serious accidents, since that light went in on the overpass there. That just made no sense because the traffic flows slower and worse than it did before, and it's a much more serious concern from a health standpoint and a safety standpoint. So, I think we need to do that resolution.
I'm on board with that. You on board with that, just so they know? Okay.
I do think the communications for the future pickups, I know that there is, that's still not nailed down 100%, and we don't want to put out bad information. But I do get a lot of questions about the future pickups. When are they? When are they going to pick up the really big stuff? That kind of thing. And we're kind of formulating the answers. But as soon as we know what those answers are, Andy, we really need to get that communication out to the town because people are definitely asking about that. So those are the only two things I wanted to mention. Thanks.
All right.
My turn?
Your turn.
Okay, got a couple items. Just want to, first, I'm going to ask Andy as we move along. Is Hazmat at the Park still scheduled for this Saturday?
It is, council member.
Okay, and is the shredder going to be there?
I had to turn to the audience to get the nod of the head, but yes, the shredder
Okay.
will be on location.
All right, good. Okay, so just want to make sure the residents know if anybody's watching.
Let me remind you, get there early related to the shredder, because I've seen it be full and had to leave before, so.
Yeah.
But not too early, because I don't think it gets there till
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Yeah,
So
it gets there at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a catch-22.
Yeah. Early.
yeah, but it's a great service.
Right.
It's a great service provided by the town and by Broward County. It really is. And then on the 21st, we have the Arts Country Roads Arts and Craft Festival put on by December. In the back, if anybody has any questions, a lot of fun, really interesting stuff. A really good place to check off a lot of stuff off your holiday list for presents and things of that nature. On the 22nd at the barn, we have the Mr. and Mrs. Southwest Ranches pageant put on by the Ed Advisory Board, and that's really something to see. It has a real small town, hometown feel to it. The kids are great. It's I know what a couple of things are going up there, and I don't want to give it away, but it'd be definitely worth stopping by and seeing it. It's a lot of fun. And then on the 28th, on Saturday night, we have Halloween at the barn, put on by Rolling Oaks Civic Association, and we need people to come out and come and see the haunted trail and bring some candy for the kids and a table and sit around and yak with your neighbors for a couple hours, and it's a lot of fun. We do this every year. On the 17th, on Friday, we have at the Equestrian Park in conjunction with Hawks Bluff Elementary, we have the food truck event that the Education Advisory Board is using as a raffle. They've got some really interesting stuff that they're raffling off, baskets and things of that nature. So I urge everybody to come by and see it. It's a lot of fun. Kids have a lot of fun at that. And then the Parks Foundation has the big car show on the 18th, Saturday. Astor, you're out there. And that is really something to see, all the classic cars. And yeah, great time. I mean, it's really worthwhile to come out and see it. The weather's like just enough where it's not really hot, and it's just a nice day out there. So, and that is the 18th, and I think it's from, is it 9 to 2? 10 to 3. Okay, thank you. Okay, the other thing, a few other things just to make mention. Unfortunately, I've got notification, I guess some of you did, that Broward County is canceling the flow program where they come out. Yeah, it's too bad because it really saves you a trip downtown to get driver's license or tag renewals or whatever your need was. But they've canceled it, and I'm not clear why, but it's been canceled. And this just triggered Andy, and I was wondering if you could look into this. Nothing you got to address at this second, but it seems like, you know, we had a tough time with Dykes and Griffin Road, and John's comments earlier triggered this. Thought that I've been meaning to tell Andy for a while. The light at Dykes and Griffin, you know, it took a while to get it back online, 3 days I think or something like that. But I'm not sure if the timing was the same as before the hurricane, and I was wondering if Andy could check on that. You know, where we had specialized timing on Sunday during the church services, and then it seems like traffic, inordinate amount of traffic is backing up eastbound on Griffin that didn't exist prior to the hurricane, and maybe it's just me, you know, but it just seems like there's a longer wait right now, and if you could check on that, you know, let us know. I'd really appreciate it. The last thing I want to bring up too is we have some openings on our advisory boards. I think the Rural Arts Board has had an opening right now, and we have several volunteers who have come in and asked to be put on the boards. Specifically, I know Dee is the council liaison, and she's not here for the Rural Arts, and I'd like for all of us to consider that. You know, the people who want to volunteer, I definitely want to use them, you know, for that. So what's the best way to proceed with that, Andy? Wait for Dee to come back, or next meeting, or?
Yeah, the vacancy you're referring to was John Monroe, who sold his house and moved out of town. He was an at-large appointment to the Rural Public Arts Board.
Okay.
We do have one applicant, and I know the council member who's liaison to that board is not here, so I want to be sensitive to that.
Right.
But we do have one application in from a woman who specifically requested that board. Sometimes people check a few boards if they want to get involved. She requested solely the Rural Public Art Board. What I'll do is I'll share this with all of you, certainly prior to the next meeting. And then if you'd like at the next council meeting, you could consider that as an at-large appointment for that board to replace Mr. Monroe.
Yeah, anyway, I bring that up because I would like to move forward with it. You know, if people are willing to volunteer, definitely want to utilize them. We need, you know, we need the town's voices wherever, whatever is being considered by the boards. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we're all on board with that.
Okay.
And everything else is on the agenda, so I'm out of gas.
Okay. Freddie, anything than you other than me mentioning? Okay, what I like to do is first and foremost, I want to thank Freddie for God knows how many years you've been on the MPO. How many years you've been on there?
Hard to say. It's been a while.
A long, long time. But I want to thank Freddie for all the years he's been on there and all the hard work and all the success he's done and the follow-up and everything he's done. I've been a couple of times when he's been there. It's a long process. It's time involved, quite a bit of reading involved or whatever, but I was going to offer Freddie to relax his seat, and if I could get a motion to appoint Dee Schroeder to take his slot, I would greatly appreciate it.
Does Dee know this is coming? Since she's not here.
Absolutely not. That's what happens when you're not here. Hold on. I got two other guys that have options here. So if you, I don't think either one of you have the time or the inkling to do it. So I don't know what other person you're going to pick.
Okay, I make a motion that we nominate Mayor McKay to be our representative for the MPO.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I'm not accepting that. I already got thrown under the bus once this year. I have no intention to get thrown under the bus
I
twice.
just would recommend that we put it off for 2 weeks till.
Well, you have a motion and a second on the table right now.
No, I don't. Nobody's made the motion.
Yeah, he made the motion.
Oh.
I asked for a motion.
Right, Gary made the motion and it was seconded.
No, he made a motion for me.
Well, it still was a motion on the table. You just don't like the motion.
Yeah.
You can vote no, but there's a motion on the table in a second.
Be careful with this. I'll retract the
Listen,
motion. I'll retract the motion.
I was going to say, I'll make it real clear, I won't be attending if you guys want to do that. I'll tell you a couple other reasons. The other reason I would love to be on it, but it gives you the opportunity, not being on it, to speak to all the other members. So Freddie knows what I'm talking about. If you're on it, you can't speak to any of the other members. And this council, has been able to get a lot more other things done by having that position and that opportunity. So,
I mean, I'm very, I hope that, Dee would be happy to do it, but I'm not comfortable making the motion when she's not here. That's all I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'd rather.
so you guys got no
I'm going to send her a quick email.
No, I just have some respect.
Send her a quick email.
Yeah.
How quick?
You can talk about other things while I do this. I don't type.
You want to come back there at the end of the meeting?
Yep.
All right, so let's go on and continue legal comments.
Sure, Mayor. Been a crazy couple of weeks. As the Pine Southwest Ranches litigation comes closer to what we thought was the trial date, a lot of things outside of that have been going on. Firstly, we were at a hearing yesterday, and the judge advised us that although we were on the November 13th docket, we're number 7 on that docket, and there is one trial that is time certain for the first 7 days of that November 13th calendar, which means that even if we were number 2, it would go Thanksgiving, which there's no case going Thanksgiving, and as a result, everyone's going to be pushed off anyway. As a result of that, and to try to stay outside of the holiday season, we requested that Pembroke Pines again, consider allowing us to move the trial to March or April, right after the new year, and hopefully maybe in that time some calmer heads could prevail, and we could figure out if there was a way to resolve this issue. They objected, but despite their objection, we did file a motion today to try to special set the trial in March. And the reason why March was selected, by the way, is their legal counsel has a trial in January and February. So he said the next time he had available was March. So we weren't predominantly forcing March. But knowing that November's most likely not going to be available, we wanted to have another date. So we've been going to hearings probably weekly with them now. Some of them have gotten very heated, including the one yesterday, where they tried to disqualify our experts, and it looks like unsuccessfully. And that is still proceeding to trial. While this has been going on, I feel almost like deja vu when dealing with Pines, because literally we've done nothing as it relates to Pines probably in years at this point, okay? I got a call yesterday from the mayor and said, you might want to fish around a little bit, because I'm hearing some things in the community that I want to find out about, dealing with a potential land that they have in the town. And sure enough, we did the digging and found out that Pembroke Pines had submitted a local bill to the Florida legislature to de-annex all the property that they own in the town, and to also included in that de-annexation bill was applications by Bergeron and Weekly to de-annex all of their properties in the town and to annex it all into the city of Pembroke Pines. As a result of this newest action, I was forced to draft a resolution, which we're walking on tonight, asking if the council would consider opposing their attempt to de-annex. It's got to be over hundreds of acres if you added up all those properties together, out of the town and into the city of Pembroke Pines. Once again, this is another unprovoked shot across the bow. What's most interesting is they voted on this September 29th. I think the letter, maybe right before that, they voted on it. Your town administrator had coffee with them not more than 3 or 4 days later, Andy? October 3rd. And not one point of their coffee was it mentioned to Andy that they had just submitted a local bill to de-annex all those properties within the town of Southwest Ranches. So, it's almost mind-boggling to me as I'm practicing for this, reviewing information for the trial, because it's 100% history repeating itself. Yesterday, unbeknownst to this, I was looking at the 1997 legislation when they tried to de-annex the entire town and to put the entire town in Pembroke Pines. And then I look at this bill, and it's almost identical to the one they filed in 97. And it's just, amazing to me that it's a complete circle and it never ends. And hopefully at some point it will. But as a result of this, I've requested that the mayor attend the Broward delegation meeting. It's better than the MPO. And that meeting is next week. And I believe the town administrator will be sending staff as well to present our case to the Broward delegation. And if it somehow passes beyond there, it will be a priority this session to defeat that straight attempt to harm the town in that manner. So that's one major issue that's occurred in addition to the Pines matter. A housekeeping note, and Marty, I don't know how you want me to do this, but a couple of months ago now, September, my law firm changed its name. It merged with another firm, so now it's called Saul Ewing Arnstein Lair, still the same firm, but just got bigger. And because the tax ID number changed, Marty said I had to just announce it at the meeting because he needs it for his record that the merger was announced. It's the same firm, still DBA, nothing's changed, same attorneys there, just got a little bit bigger. It added offices up north in New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, in that region. So, Marty, did that comply with what you wanted? Perfect. Other than that, no legal comments, but I'm happy to discuss more the recent Pines issue when we get to that resolution later.
Okey-doke. Andy?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. John Eastman mentioned earlier the FAA meeting. John, we clarified the date for that, just to be certain. It's November 13th. It'll be here in council chambers at 6 p.m. I had shared that information with the council earlier this week, but we'll work on promoting that as well to try to get some residents in attendance for that meeting. And the other thing I just want to touch on is some complaints and some vocalization on issues relating to the bulk and the bulk cleanup. Obviously, we continue to try to fine-tune our message out to the community. We will continue to do that, and we'll use all the avenues that we have to get that message out. But I just want to say that I do appreciate the feedback that we've gotten from residents on that. Some people call and say thank you, and it's great to see it cleaned up, but a lot of people have called with issues. That's as helpful for us or more helpful for us really than the positives and the thank yous, because we can't address the issues out there in the community if we're not aware of it. So that feedback that comes in, whether it's the webpage, whether it's over the phone, it's walk-in here at the council meeting, that feedback is appreciated because it's the only way we can address it. And, Rod is really the primary liaison to the people doing that. Rod, how often do I walk back to your office every day? I mean, we have frequent conversations. So when those issues come in, when they're brought to our attention, emails are forwarded. He and I have a conversation. It's shared with our vendor immediately. We've seen some improvement in the areas where we've asked them to improve. But obviously, if they don't know we have an issue, if we don't know that the residents have an issue, it's impossible for us to pass that along. So I do want to say thank you. For those of you who are out there in the community who are hearing these kinds of complaints, please continue to let us know. When we have nurseries that are abusing it, we need to be aware of that so we can try to address it. We can't get everything, but obviously the feedback we get from the community is very helpful, and I want to thank you all for that and ask people to continue to do that. So thank you very much. And Mayor, I don't have a total on that, Noel, but I'll try to get one. But that's all I have for tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Keith, on this next one, ordinance first reading, this is one of them? 11?
11 is a resolution, so there's only
No?
We had an addendum
Modified
to the agenda.
You got to give him an outdated one.
He's,
It's okay. Just read it. I got it right here. It's an ordinance.
want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
It is an ordinance on
Yes,
first reading.
yes.
Yeah.
It's an emergency ordinance of the town of Southwest Ranches relating to post-Hurricane Irma disaster debris collection, providing for declaration of findings and intent, providing for removal of disaster debris, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Mayor, Russell has done a great job with Sandy and staff in trying to figure out how the town can legally collect storm debris on private roadways and in private communities. A lot of our roadways in the town are private, even though they have public access, including Griffin 345 and otherwise. Under the FEMA regulations, we are not allowed to pick up on roadways that are private unless there are some severe emergency, compelling life safety reasons to do so.
Clarify, there's not an issue with us picking up. They don't have a problem with that.
Oh, can't
They're not
get
going to pay us for it.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing. Yeah, well, there's certain communities, even, by the way, like Landmark, where we're not allowed in. So, it's there are other reasons. So as a result of all of this, we have been dealing with the FEMA officials and our staff and the outside consultants, and we put together this ordinance based, I think, on Sunrise's ordinance.
Actually, it was more based on town of Davies.
Davies ordinance, adding our information as well. There is zero guarantees that this ordinance is going to work, but it's the best shot that we have in trying to get reimbursement for the collection on private roads and private communities.
Okay. All right. Let Steve get back up here. Number 11. No, this one is highlighted one. So Keith just explained it or whatever. And
Yeah, we need a motion
need
and
a
a
motion
second.
and a second.
Russell has properly advised me that because it's an emergency ordinance that has to be submitted to FEMA immediately, it would require 4 affirmative votes of the council to adopt, and because of the emergency nature, we actually only need 1 reading, so tonight would be the last reading on this.
Make a motion to approve.
who's going to say?
Huh?
Somebody who's
A second.
Okay. Motion and a second. You want to call the question?
Councilmember Fisickelli,
But
Yes.
you want public comment?
Councilmember Jablonski,
We
Yes.
didn't do public comment, I don't know.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Do the public comment now.
I was going to do public comment, but sorry about that. I rarely forget it, but that's a first. Second?
Not much.
All right. Number 12.
12 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting and approving an agreement with the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection to receive $340,000 to complete the interconnect drainage improvements, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any public comment on this matter? Seeing no public comment is closed. Call the question, please.
Councilmember Fisickelli,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes. Number 13.
Number 13 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, in staunch opposition to the City of Pembroke Pines' latest attempt to de-annex a portion of the Town of Southwest Ranches, requesting that a copy of this resolution be sent to the entire Broward delegation, the governor, and to Senate and House leadership, and providing an effective date.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and council, this is the resolution that I advised that we've added to immediately send to the Broward delegation. Happy to answer any questions, but this just occurred today, to our knowledge today, meaning it occurred September 29th. Look forward to hearing what the public has to say and hopefully bring it back to the delegation.
All right. Any public comment on this matter? Come on up.
Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. With Ronnie Bergeron joining in asking for de-annexation of his properties, it only proves that what the Comprehensive Plan Board did out on that property out there that he owns on US 27 was the right thing to do, because it makes it a very nice commercial area when it is finally going to be developed, if it stays within the town, which I hope it will with our legal eagle. And he did not like what we did, but we worked in the best interests of the residents of the town, the board did, and came up with what we thought was a very good product. He did not like it. So therefore, now you see the reaction. For every action, there is a reaction, and his reaction is, I want to de-annex so I can make that industrial. Thank you.
Come on up, Mike.
Mike Hanley, 50th place. No pun intended, but Keith, why don't we just de-annex all the property that Pembroke Pines has in the border of Southwest Ranches and countersue?
If this continues in that manner, I would suggest maybe submitting our own local bill next year in the same vein.
Hey,
David Kaczynski, 6411 Holity. If my listening to this sounds right, has this actually been introduced as a local bill? Who's the sponsoring legislator?
Jared Moskowitz.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thanks.
See any additional public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Back to the council. Any questions?
Not a question, but, you know, this kind of action, to me, is just completely uncalled for. And, you know, just goes against everything that you would hope that one community, you know, would not kind of try to force on another community. And along those lines, you know, to me, I know we've tried to broach this once before, but I'm hoping that when you all speak with the Broward delegation, that perhaps this could actually be a springboard for us to go back to the well again and not only kill this, but try and do the opposite, which would be to outlaw, to actually get a state law that would not allow one municipality to de-annex the other without their permission and without their agreement. And, you know, I know we tried that once before and it really didn't get off the ground, but I think perhaps the delegation, seeing what's going on here, can maybe revisit that and see that, you know, what there is a real need for this, if this is what's going to start going on between municipalities. So just something to keep in mind as we go through this process.
All right. You got something, Gary?
Yeah, just wanted to mention, you know, to the viewership, you know, basically what this is, what Pembroke Pines couldn't do 20 years ago in the voting booth, they're now doing with the purse.
Right.
And they're trying to buy out Southwest Ranches. That's really what it amounts to, is going on here. And we need to do everything we can to stop that, you know, simply put. And that's all.
Awesome. Freddie, you got anything to say? All right. We got a motion and a second. Call the question.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Emergency Operations Center location acquisition, number 14 for discussion. Steve, go ahead.
Thank you. So I wanted to have this on the agenda just to provide an update for the community. As you all are probably aware, the fire departments, both our volunteer and the Davie Fire Department, are currently located at Griffin and 172nd out west. And the response times way out west on 210, 208, those areas there, frankly, is unacceptable today based on the location that they're at. So we are attempting to look at, or we are looking at other locations further west, and we're attempting to try and nail something down. We met with one property owner this afternoon. We'll probably be talking to a couple other property owners and trying to find something in the around 194 through 200, somewhere in that area, be able to nail down a piece of property where we can move that department, both those departments, further out west, put them more in a central location, and they'll be able to respond in a more timely manner. So there's a lot of different options as far as funding that, and so we're not at that point yet. But I wanted to bring it up to inform the public, and I also wanted to bring it up from a council standpoint to, we obviously can't talk about this except in these types of situations. So if there was any concerns, obviously when we get to a particular proposal, I expect a lot of concerns, a lot of questions, a lot of things like that. So I understand that, and I'm not asking for, carte blanche, like, okay, it's a great idea, no matter what the deal is, everybody's in favor of it. But if there are any concerns, overriding concerns, or any questions or things that we need to be looking at while we go through this process, I would just like to hear those now, frankly, so that when we talk to these property owners, that we don't have a surprise when it gets in front of the council of something that, might be an issue.
The only thing I'd want to do with this discussion is, Keith, to clarify, the deal is that if we get 3 appraisals and we can't pay more than 10% above the highest appraisal, is that kind of how it goes?
It's like one of those questions that you really don't want to answer.
I know.
The reason is because
We're government and we're
Yeah.
restricted.
You're restricted under the county's regulations. That law that you're referring to is a county law.
Okay.
It's one that I use, hopefully no one's listening, quite well to help the town in negotiation of contracts. That provision, which is in Chapter 160 of the Florida statutes, is actually not found in the municipal section of the Florida statutes. But in order to claim that you're abiding by what the intent and spirit of the law was, we always use the county provisions to get 3 appraisals and then to try to stay within that 10% range. But even on this particular property, we exceeded that dollar amount, if you recall, and we could do so truly only because it's outside of the municipal, it's not in the municipal section of the Florida statutes.
Okay. All right. That's everything I want to bring up. Okay. Anybody else have any other input they want to bring up, or? No?
Well, the only comment I can make on this is that we know the parameters that we need to move the station out.
Right.
And I guess until we get closer to I don't want to use the word deal, but to a proposal,
Right.
I think that's really going to be when the meat and potatoes start, getting
Yeah.
carved. It's still kind of out there, and you've got to.
I agree, and that's what I'm
narrow it
saying.
down.
I don't expect a carte blanche, based on, oh, well, you agreed on, in October that this would be the thing. But if there was anything major out there as we talk to these owners that, would be an issue, I just wanted to know it.
Listen, I believe we're all on the same page as far as what we're trying to do is get the response times down, make it centrally located, better for everybody in general across the board, have the right kind of building in place, all that kind of stuff. So I think we're all on the same page in that regard. So
Good. That's what I wanted to
until you
make
get
sure.
it fine-tuned, other than that,
Yeah,
I don't think there's anywhere else to go.
All right, I just, that was my goal.
Yeah, in general terms, I think we're all on board, and until we. And
So you have got a deal
we
to
will
look
always
at.
be on board. We just got to, get to the nitty gritty,
Perfect,
details.
perfect.
I'm
Perfect.
the same way. I support you 100%.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
All right, approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve all 3 sets of minutes.
Okay, that's August 10th, August 22nd, August 24th, okay. Awesome. Any public comment on our minutes, because we've had them corrected before? Seeing no corrections on our minutes, I'll close that, come back to us, call the question, please.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Sounds like a plan.